Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanova, and let's see the top stories. Polish president approves NATO troop deployment, strengthening country's defense amid rising regional tensions. U.S. and Chinese officials will hold a second day of trade talks in Spain on Monday. And Doha to host emergency Arab-Islamic summit today to discuss Israel attack on Qatar. Polish President Karol Nawrocki has signed an agreement allowing NATO troops to be stationed in the country as part of the Eastern Sentry operation. Poland's National Security Bureau announced on Sunday the specific arrangements and details of the deployment decision are confidential and will not be disclosed. Eastern Sentry is the name given to a NATO operation announced on Friday that aims to strengthen the alliance's eastern flank and especially its air defenses in the wake of the drone incursions. These actions come a day after Polish authorities said 19 Russian drones entered the country's airspace. The Russian Defense Ministry said its drones had struck military facilities in western Ukraine, but there were no plans to target sites in Poland. Polish and Allied jets were deployed in a preventive operation to secure the country's airspace from potential drone threats, with airports temporarily closed and air defenses put on high alert. Authorities stressed the operation was precautionary, aimed at protection.
Polish and Allied aircraft have been scrambled in what officials describe as a preventive operation to secure the country's airspace. The move comes amid fears of drone strikes spilling over from neighbouring Ukraine. The alert was issued on Saturday, forcing the temporary closure of Lublin Airport in eastern Poland. It lasted around 2 hours before being lifted, during which authorities also warned residents in several border counties of a potential air threat. Ground-based air defence and reconnaissance systems were placed on high alert, though the military stressed the measures were precautionary, aimed at protecting Polish citizens and deterring any escalation. The alert comes after a major incident on Wednesday, when NATO jets shot down 19 Russian drones that had entered Polish airspace, leaving debris across the countryside, according to Prime Minister Tusk. European leaders have since called the incident a deliberate provocation by Moscow. Russia insists it did not target Poland, while its ally Belarus has claimed the drones veered off course after being jammed. By Saturday evening, Poland's operational command confirmed the mission was complete and air defences stood down, highlighting ongoing tensions along the country's eastern border.
Thousands of Poles are signing up for voluntary military training as fears of Russian aggression grow. It comes after Poland shot down Russian drones in its airspace last week, the first NATO member known to have fired during the war in Ukraine.
Just 6 kilometers from the Russian border in northern Poland, Office Administrator Agnieszka is digging a trench. She's not a soldier, but she wants to be ready to defend her family, including her 13-year-old son, if war ever comes.
I always say I would do anything to keep my child safe. I would absolutely stand and fight to protect him. And the rest, well...
Thousands of Poles like her are signing up for voluntary military training, part of a nationwide push to strengthen Poland's defences amid growing fears of Russian aggression. Those fears spiked this week after Poland shot down Russian drones in its airspace, the first time a NATO country has fired during Russia's war in Ukraine. The Kremlin dismissed Western concerns as emotional overload, insisting it poses no threat. But Poland isn't taking chances.
This is one of the main tasks for units in peacetime, to train the reserves. It's not something extra, additional, or often even unnecessary. It's one of the core responsibilities because every conflict shows one thing. Conflicts are always won by the reserves, especially long-lasting ones.
Training for new volunteers is underway at Braniewo, a military base near the border. More than 20,000 Poles have already signed up this year, and officials expect that figure to reach 40,000 by December, more than double the numbers seen in 2022.
I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, so I feel this need to protect my family. Just like our ancestors once defended these lands, I feel a responsibility to carry that on if such a need were to arise.
Since Russia's invasion, Poland has more than doubled its defence spending, now devoting 4.7% of its economy to the military, the highest ratio in NATO. For many here, it's about being ready and facing what they call a new reality on NATO's eastern flank.
Zapad 2025, a joint military exercise between Russian and Belarusian forces, is continuing. Russian Defense Ministry released more footage of joint military exercises with Belarus on Sunday. The footage showed a missile being launched vertically from the frigate and then powering off at an angle into the horizon. According to Russian Defense Ministry, during drills, coastal missile system BAL firing Ural missile, military helicopters Ka-52M and Mi-8NM providing fire support to assault groups, and the Baltic Fleet forces practicing actions to provide emergency rescue to a ship. In a separate video from Belarus, soldiers were training to put up command posts and secure communication centers at the Borisovsky training range. Zapad 2025 joint strategic military exercise will continue until September 16th. U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a letter to NATO nations calling on them to stop buying Russian oil and to impose sweeping sanctions on Moscow. Trump says coordinated action could quickly end the war in Ukraine. In a letter addressed to NATO nations and the world, Donald Trump said he is ready to impose major sanctions on Russia. Trump criticized NATO's lack of commitment to winning the war and said buying Russian oil weakens the alliance's bargaining power. He also proposed that NATO countries place tariffs of up to 100% on China, which he claimed would pressure Beijing to push Moscow to end the conflict. Calling the war deadly but ridiculous, Trump said it wouldn't have started under his presidency and claimed his plan could save thousands of lives. Elon Musk's Starlink is experiencing a service outage, according to a message on its website on Monday. According to Down Detector service, by this morning, there were nearly 40,000 outage reports. Starlink confirmed the disruption, saying its team is investigating. Outage reports came from multiple U.S. states and countries like Ukraine, with some users regaining access after brief interruptions. Most of the reported problems included 60% related to internet issues, 39% citing a total blackout, and 1% complaining of poor service. U.S. and Chinese officials will hold a second day of trade talks in Spain on Monday. The negotiations, led by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Vice Premier He Lifeng, come as a U.S. deadline approaches for TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell its U.S. operations or face a nationwide ban. The talks are also addressing tariffs and export controls, with both sides agreeing to extend their current truce until November. Qatar says Israel's strike on Doha will not derail its mediation in Gaza. Arab and Islamic leaders are gathering in the Qatari capital for an emergency summit, aiming to show unity after what they call a violation of Qatar's sovereignty.
On Sunday, Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani told Arab and Islamic foreign ministers that Israel's actions will not stop joint efforts with Egypt and the United States to end the Gaza war. The meeting prepared the ground for Monday's emergency Arab-Islamic summit, with delegations from across the region drafting a resolution condemning Israel's strike and warning it threatens peace, coexistence and the future of regional normalization.
Israel's barbaric and demagogic practices will not deter us from continuing our sincere efforts with Egypt and the United States to stop this unjust war.
The September 9th strike on a residential building killed 5 Hamas members and a Qatari security officer, though Hamas's senior negotiating team survived. Israel defended the attack as a legitimate move against militant leaders it says were blocking a hostage deal, but Arab officials denounced it as a blatant violation of sovereignty.
The state of Qatar will not tolerate any violation of its sovereignty or threat to its national security. We will confront any threat with all means guaranteed by international law.
Arab League chief Ahmed Abul Gate called the assault an attack on the entire Arab and Islamic world.
The message of this summit, which must reach everyone loud and clear, is solidarity with Qatar, Doha, from the Arab and Islamic worlds against the aggression of the occupying Israeli state.
Regional leaders, including Iraq's Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, warned the aggression will not stop at Qatar, urging the creation of a joint Arab-Islamic defence alliance. The draft resolution, seen by Reuters brands the strike a destabilising escalation and accuses Israel of genocide and expansionist policies. It warns such actions endanger all existing and future agreements to normalise ties with Israel. Meanwhile, Washington has voiced rare unease. President Donald Trump told Qatar's emir that such a thing will not happen again on their soil, while calling Doha a close ally in ceasefire talks and hostage negotiations. As the summit opens in Doha, leaders are expected to send a united message of solidarity with Qatar. But it seems with Israel vowing to keep up pressure on Hamas leaders abroad, the crisis has already raised the stakes for ceasefire efforts and for the region's path toward peace.
U.S. President Donald Trump's top diplomat Marco Rubio arrived in Israel on Sunday, greeted by the U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Rubio said the United States was unhappy with Israel's recent strike on Hamas leaders in Qatar and ongoing settlement expansion. He emphasized that U.S.-Israel relations would remain strong while discussing how the strikes could affect efforts to secure the return of hostages and end the Gaza conflict. Intense shelling in Gaza has forced dozens of families to abandon makeshift shelters as access to food, water and medical aid remains critically low. Local authorities report at least 16 killed on Sunday, while Israel expands aid zones in the south to help those fleeing the north.
The sound of shelling echoed across the Gaza Strip on Sunday as intensified military operations forced dozens of families to flee makeshift shelters. Many residents are now unsure where to go next. The escalation has worsened the humanitarian crisis, where access to food, water and medical supplies remains critically low. People here say they are living in constant fear.
The bombardment intensified everywhere and we uninstalled the tents more than 20 families. We do not know where to go. The bombardment is everywhere. Fragments reached here.
Local health authorities report that at least 16 people were killed by Israeli fire on Sunday, including 7 in Gaza City. In the past 2 days, dozens of homes have been destroyed by airstrikes.
I swear that every time I hear a bullet, I get scared to death. I have 4 brothers who were martyred in this war. I have nobody. I am scared that our turn will come to die. I have been here for 8 months. Nobody asks me where I am. I am tired. I do not find food. I have to go to Zikim to get food for my children. I am tired. God saved me from death 5 times. Here I am sitting. I am tired. Where can I get money for displacement from? Where from?
The Israeli army says it is expanding an area in the southern Gaza Strip called Crossing 147. The move is intended to increase the flow of aid into a humanitarian zone and to prepare for the arrival of people fleeing the northern areas.
Russia has reportedly approached Turkey about repurchasing the S-400 air defense systems it sold to Ankara in 2019, amid alleged shortages and growing demand from other countries, according to Turkish media. The move comes as Turkey develops its own steel dome system, cutting reliance on Russian S-400s. The report says many countries have requested air defense systems from Russia, but Moscow has no S-400s in its stock beyond its own use. As a result, it's reportedly considering buying back the systems from Turkey. Turkish authorities are yet to make any official statements on the matter. President Ilham Aliyev has visited several towns and villages in Karabakh, launching new development projects and meeting with the local residents. The Azerbaijani leader highlighted both the challenges and the past conflict and the country's ambitious plans to rebuild the region and secure a lasting peace.
As Azerbaijan solidifies its position as one of the key global connectivity arteries, the Karabakh region and the Zangezur corridor gain traction as future centers of regional and global logistics. With recent developments placing the country at the forefront of global transport projects, on September 14th, President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev visited Kankendi, Shushakand village, Girmizi Bazaar, Hadrut settlement, and Sos village. During the visit, President Aliyev inaugurated several development projects, including the clinic building of Qarabağ University and the academic building of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences in the city of Khankendi, as well as the mosque in Hadrut, among others. While meeting with residents of Girmizi Bazaar, Hadrut settlement, and Sos village, President Aliyev highlighted the role of spoilers during the efforts to resolve the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Biz bilirsiniz uzun yıllar çalışırdık ki Qarabağ münaqişəsi sülh yolu ilə həll olunsun.
You know that for many years we worked to resolve the Karabakh conflict peacefully. But the Armenian side and those backing them had other intentions. They had no intention of returning our lands. They, along with their supporters, the leaders of major powers, encouraged them, as if they wanted to make this occupation permanent. But they failed to account for one thing: the will, strength, and devotion of the Azerbaijani people to their homeland, the bravery and heroism of the Azerbaijani soldier, and the unity of our people.
Azərbaycan əskərinin olan şücaəti, qəhrəmanlığı və xalqımızın birləşməsi.
With the devastating conflict now part of history, President Aliyev underscored Azerbaijan's commitment to rebuilding.
Just as we fought and triumphed in war, we are now building and creating in times of peace. The Armenians left our lands in ruins. They razed the villages and cities where you lived to the ground. The conditions in which they themselves lived were such that, as they say, no self-respecting person would ever live there. But look at what we have accomplished in just 5 years. Cities, villages, bridges, tunnels, water reservoirs, and power stations have been built. The scale of construction happening here in Karabakh and Zangezur is unmatched anywhere in the world.
The visit underscores Azerbaijan's ambition to restore and rebuild infrastructure in these regions, integrate the territories into the global economy, and ensure that residents returning to these areas can live in peace.
Azerbaijan and Turkey discuss prospects for opening a Zangezur corridor. AK Party Deputy Chairman Kürsat Zorlu discussed the project and bilateral cooperation in the region with Azerbaijani officials. The project is expected to enhance transport, energy and logistics links between Azerbaijan and Turkey.
The deputy chairman of Turkish ruling Justice and Development Party and head of relations with Turkic states has visited Nachivan for a series of high-level meetings. During the visit, discussions covered the opening of offices for the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency and the Yunus Emre Institute in Nachivan. Opportunities in mining and research projects were also highlighted, with officials stressing that bilateral ties are set to deepen further.
If the corridor between Azerbaijan and Nachivan is realized, it will not only connect Azerbaijan to Turkey, but also create an important transport, energy and logistics corridor stretching from Beijing, across the Caspian, to Turkey and Europe.
A Turkish official, touching on regional diplomacy, highlighted the Turkish-Armenian normalization process. They noted that the region is progressing towards significant advances in peace, stability and security. Analysts say that once the Zangezur corridor is realized, it will not only expand regional economic and transport opportunities, but also reinforce Turkish strategic role in Eurasia. In this context, Ankara is expected to remain a key actor in the project. Associate Professor Orhan Valiyev emphasized in an interview to our news.
Yes, Turkey will be part of the key partner, the key actor on this the project. So and also the establishment of the Zangezur corridor will open the opportunities for Turkey to strengthen the central role within the framework of the Turkic world and also, let's say, Eurasia, because Turkey will become the hub in terms of the energy roads, and let's say because the Zangezur corridor will eventually include railroads, the pipelines, and also fiber optic lines as well. So Turkey will become the main hub in this issue, and also because of its the military the capacity, and also as a NATO member country state. So Turkey will be the key the actor in this the project.
The Iğder-Nachivan natural gas pipeline is also significant in terms of energy diversification and security. It further strengthens the bonds of brotherhood between Ankara and Baku.
Armenian Interior Minister Arpin Sargsyan met with Brandon Hanrahan, a senior U.S. State Department official, to discuss bilateral cooperation and the Trump route for international peace and prosperity. Sargsyan praised the U.S. role in the August 8th Armenian-Azerbaijani peace agreement and highlighted ongoing efforts in police reform, cybercrime prevention and security cooperation. Hanrahan emphasized the close partnership between Armenia and the United States and the importance of continued collaboration. And now we are joined by our very own Nick Somerville, live from London with all the latest in sports. From a dramatic weekend of boxing to Premier League action, major stories across Europe and the spotlight on basketball. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Nick, let's start with boxing. There was a huge fight over the weekend. What happened and who came out on top?
Yeah, it was a massive fight. Everyone's eyes were at Las Vegas. 70,000 people came to see all your Hollywood stars, all your sports stars came to watch Canelo versus Crawford. Crawford is a three-weight champion, and this was an undisputed title. And I tell you what, we looked to, because Crawford had to go up in weight to fight against Canelo, but it was all about Crawford. Crawford put an absolute exhibition on. Anytime Canelo tried to get close to him or tried to get into him, Crawford just picked him off, and he showed the quality. We thought Canelo, with his weight, he might be able to get to him, but he couldn't at all. So it was an enthralling fight. So now Crawford will go down in the history books as one of the best because he's undisputed. He is undefeated. Canelo had been beaten twice before this, but what a star we have for the future here now. It's going to be interesting. He got asked the question, is he going to retire at the end or is he going to carry on? I get that feeling he's going to carry on though, but what a performance by Crawford. Fantastic night of boxing. But going away from that, there was sad news from boxing. A friend of mine and a global icon in the world of boxing, especially in UK, Ricky Hatton. Let's not forget Ricky Hatton. He fought against Pacquiao. The famous night against Yazoo in Manchester, 46 years old, he died. Before the Manchester derby yesterday, which I'll probably go into a little bit more shortly, there was a minute's silence, and this was the people's champion. Ricky was not only a fantastic fighter, world champion twice, but he was with the people. He would go out with the people. He took 30,000 people to the Pacquiao fight as well. When he fought Yazoo, which was a massive fight in Manchester, this was when he got everyone's attention. So when we heard the news yesterday that the police had found him at his house and he died, you think of his family and you think of his children and his grandchildren. So our thoughts are with him. So from what started off as a wonderful weekend, has put shockwaves through the world of boxing and beyond.
Nick, turning to football, what are the latest headlines and highlights from the Premier League?
Well, Arsenal, they've come to a victory. Ange Postecoglou, his first game in charge against Forest, he got a 3-0 defeat, so he's got to do a lot of work on the training ground. Bournemouth they won 2-0 against Brighton. Wolves looking for their first victory. Aston Villa looking for their first victory. Liverpool at Turf Moor at Burnley was a difficult game. It looked like Burnley were going to fight to draw out, but right near the very end, they got a penalty. It was a penalty, it was a handball, and Liverpool managed to get the 3 points. So that's it. They've won every game they've played in so far and sitting pretty at the top of the league. Newcastle, they got a 1-0 victory, so they are good. It was Volt made the new signing, what came in. And we had the Manchester derby. Obviously, I said about how sad it was at the start with the minute silence for Ricky Hatton, but it was all about Manchester City. They won 3-0. Foden with the first goal, and Haaland, who was on fire. He just came off scoring 5 goals for his country in the midweek. So real top quality performance. But the pressure now is with Amran. Amran, their next game in the league is Chelsea. So Manchester United under pressure. The same as well with Graham Potter at West Ham. They got beat at home again by Spurs 3-0. So it was eventful. It was the same results as usual at the top, but obviously the pressure's been turned on certain managers, and that's Manchester United and obviously West Ham as well. But Liverpool looking strong.
So beyond England, what are the major football stories making waves across Europe?
Well, Napoli, they've picked off from being champions last season. Another convincing win from them, 3-1. They play Manchester City next in the Champions League. We have the Champions League coming up this week, so that's Kevin De Bruyne going back to the Etihad. That could be interesting, and what a start they've had. Juventus, they are in second position. Bayern Munich, 5-0. I mean, is it all over? I know I'm saying that as a little bit of a joke there, but what a start for them and Vincent Kompany's man Harry Kane again. Every week I say that Harry Kane scores. He's a scoring machine. Dortmund are second. They've not been beaten. A big result as well for Barcelona, winning 6-0. They play Newcastle in the Champions League, and Real Madrid got their victory as well. Another Mbappe goal for him. Paris Saint-Germain, business as usual for them. They're going away from that as well in the Championship, which is just below the Premier League. Middlesbrough are leading the pack there, which hopefully we might see them back in the Premier League. But Sheffield United, they got relegated from the Premier League. They cannot get a victory. They've lost all their games, so things aren't going so well for them.
Nick, we've also been hearing about something called the enhanced games. Can you explain what they are and why they are attracting attention?
Well, Ben Proud, who was an athlete himself, a silver medalist in the Olympics, did an interview in England, and what has happened now? It's caused uproar because they've got the enhanced games where you have to have enhanced drugs or you're allowed to take it. Now he's retired, 15 years in the sport, and we know the controversies with athletics, with people taking drugs, with trying to fight. It's a dark cloud. Well, this has come around. It's been built up for a couple of years. He is going to go and join this enhanced games, where if he gets a world record, it's £1 million. There's other athletes who have earned over £1 million plus, £2 million. He's doing it financially. But what does that say about athletics? Are we saying it's okay to do it? It's all thrown up in the air. So you've got people phoning up saying, well, I've got my son here now, he wants to be a weightlifter, he wants to be a swimmer, and are you saying that they should go to enhanced games and take drugs? It's caused a huge problem. Don't get me wrong, he has retired, but he's doing it financially. He said he's doing it for his family. But how many more athletes are going to go into this direction? They don't earn a lot of money, but it's about them winning medals. It's about them doing it the right way. But all of a sudden, like we're seeing in the world of sport, once money gets brought into the equation, people's minds change. So keep your eye on this enhanced games. And is it going to change? Is it going to change the way athletics is going to go? But it's caused a huge fuss. It really has. It's as if we're saying we're giving thumbs up to it. When they go into the competition, they are entitled. They can take a certain type of drug, which is obviously is the correct ones they can take without them causing any harm. So it's interesting to see what these athletes can do and how they can push it forward and what they're capable of. But I thought it was really interesting news, and it's caused a real big stink up in the UK.
Nick, finally turning to basketball, Turkey and Germany clashed in the Eurobasket final yesterday. How did the game unfold, and what were the defining moments that shaped the outcome?
Yeah, it was a really interesting game. It was fantastic, and it was a really good advertisement for basketball and what you saw in their region as well. So it was a must-watch, and obviously we get to see more of it as well very shortly. But it was a fantastic game. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Nick, for bringing us the latest updates and insights across the world of sports. Thanks a lot. That's the news update from us in Baku this morning. Stay tuned to A News for more.